has a comment. Jeff, welcome to the show. I'm Tom Martino on Talk Radio 630 KHOW.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
I just had a real quick comment. I don't think that they really arrested him to hinder your guys' investigation.
Oh, no, I don't think they did it to hinder our investigation at all. I think they arrested him because they got the goods.
Well, I think what they want to do is that he may have wanted to be arrested at that point and charged with just that one count of drug possession instead of having your guys' investigation go on and in the limelight in the radio, for a couple months before an arrest was made. Maybe they thought arresting him now, you guys would feel vindicated that you got him arrested.
And not continue.
Exactly.
You really think he would sacrifice himself to prevent us from looking into it deeper?
Well, I think so, being that you got the goods on him and he knows it, and there's really nothing he can do about it. Once the goods are out.
Interesting point, but I don't know. I'm almost positive he used one of the people that we gave to the FBI, or not the FBI, but the FBI Safe Streets Task Force. We gave them everything we had, and among the information were names of people, and we told the alleged victims that we were going to give their names to the police and law enforcement, and we were going to do a story on this, so they all knew it. Jonathan, don't you think they used one of our guys to do that sting?
I actually think that I'm pretty sure I know who they used. But my issue is that, yes, look, Sullivan was arrested for possession, meeting with an adult male. That is not as serious as the charges or allegations that are being made today.
Well, right. Tom, Denver Post just reported right now in court they just bumped it from $250,000 to a $500,000 bail.
I have a feeling this thing's going to snowball and more people are going to talk and come out of the shadows. My feeling on this, and this is my feeling for the last 3 weeks, month that I've been working on this case, and people have to bear in mind, before this was anything, I was out there going to Tom. Tom was my lead on this. He was the guy that I would go to and get direction. Nobody in this town had any idea what was going on. And it wasn't until I walked into the FBI Safe Street Task Force on the 15th and I decided to tell them, I think you guys need to take a look at this. So when I was out there and I had guns pulled on me and I was going into some very dangerous situations, I was thoroughly convinced of the level of criminality related to Sullivan. Now, whether or not he gets charged for it is a side note.
Exactly. But we're kind of convinced that there's way more to it. And I should say this. I can verify what Jonathan is saying, that they didn't know anything about this, because they called me after he visited them, and they pretty much told me the same, that they did not have any clue about this depth and about Sullivan, but they would definitely look into it.
Right.
And sure enough, 2 weeks almost to the day, they bust
make
him.
the arrest.
All right, we have more coming up.
This is the Troubleshooter Show.
Help, I need somebody.
Now, Tom Martino on Talk Radio 630 KHOW.
Help me if you can.
Hi, I'm Tom Martino. Welcome to the show, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255, where we discuss any and all issues, problems, questions, and complaints. And we got a doozy about a month or two ago from a guy who was, well, actually, I'm not sure how long ago it was. It's getting hazy. But anyway, the guy calls and says he needs help. He's addicted to meth. He's being used for sex by Pat Sullivan. We thought he was nuts. Jonathan Elinoff looked into it, and we started having meetings, gatherings. I interviewed one of the guys. We looked at the story and thought it may have legs. I then went to the authorities with this, or Jonathan did, and they interviewed him extensively, and they launched their investigation, and what you saw was the result last night. Now, they told us they had no idea this was going on, and that they interviewed our people, and I think they used one of them for this sting. We're not sure of that. So far, all of the people we talked to were of legal age. However, we have indications that they may have been at one time when they were not of legal age, when they were minors, they were still in a relationship with Sullivan. And we're also told that this goes on with a lot of men in town, and that this sex for drugs thing is a big ring in town. We're going to talk more about it coming up. I'm going to let you hear some sound bites, too. But First, I need to get to these other calls. Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Well, I promised that I would replay those sound bites for people that have been asking about it in the Pat Sullivan case. As you probably have heard, former Arapahoe County Sheriff Pat Sullivan was arrested last night after a sting operation where he allegedly was going to provide meth for sex. This is not unusual for us to hear because we had been investigating Pat Sullivan for a while. We got a phone call from a guy who said he needed help, that he was on meth, he had HIV, and he was being used for sex by Pat Sullivan. Jonathan Elinoff, my investigator, went out and looked into the story. He talked to a half a dozen people and heard wild stories.
To say the least. I mean, the stories range from allegations of criminal transmission of HIV to multiple partners, even bisexual, other girls.
For drugs.
Right. And even some distribution and bonding out some of these dealers.
Like that Pat Sullivan would use his connections to bond out people, young men, in order to gain their favor.
Right.
They were afraid of him. We have some hidden camera video that shows him clearly in this one apartment with known meth people. And we also have sound bites from people who say they had associations with Sullivan. In this first one, you'll hear it's, do you have them, Beak? Do you have the sound bites? Do you have them? Well, that's what it says, but it's not. And then there's one before that. There's two sound bites that we used.
Pat has bought dope for several people that I do know.
And what reason for sex?
Well, to help.
All right, pause that for a second. So he says Pat has bought dope for people, and then he's going to tell why. And then at the end of this conversation, though, he's talking on a cell phone to Pat Sullivan. While we were interviewing him, Pat Sullivan called him on the cell phone, and we verified that the phone number was indeed Pat Sullivan's cell phone. So play that again then, Beak, that whole thing.
For several people that I do know.
And what reason for sex?
Well, to help get in the, I guess, in the mood, or
right.
to help.
Does he do drugs?
Yeah.
Does he do meth?
Me, Jeremy, my boyfriend, Jeff, have all been at his house while his wife was gone, sitting in the garage smoking dope.
You know where he lives?
Yes.
You can describe the inside of his garage?
I can describe the inside of his garage, his house, his office.
What does he do now? He wasn't sheriff when you knew him. What did he do?
No, when I met him, he was head of, I don't know the proper phrase or word, but basically he was head of security for Cherry Creek School District.
So, we should say maybe by the end of the week.
All right. You too.
And that was the phone call. That was the phone call there at the end. It just cut in there where he was talking. Now, do you have the other soundbite, Beak? We have another one there that Sheik put up earlier.
Pat Sullivan used to try to get some stuff for me that I wouldn't give it to him. I'd have somebody else go give it to him. Just like I knew he'd always get these young kids out of jail and everything. Out of jail, like he was their get out of jail free card. You know, and I think that's why none of them want to say anything.
You've seen Sullivan do drugs?
He came to buy a ball off of me. But I didn't do it. I didn't do the sale because I was afraid what might happen if they were trying to get to somebody I got my stuff from. They put out or get out.
Put out or get out? So he rapes them? Assaults?
I don't know, like molests.
And that's...
He buys them drugs in order to get them to take the clothes off.
Okay.
That's the power he has over them. Their addiction.
Yeah.
That's the power that he has over them. The guy said it's their addiction. Anyway, if you have any comments, Jonathan Elinoff, who did the investigating here, is here with me. But we're going to go on to other calls as well. So, Jonathan, you just heard about something being raided downtown. Is that public knowledge right now?
I'm trying to verify it right now.
All right. There's a lot happening in this case.
This case is still active.
But we want to tell you something. Right now, on the surface, all it is, and I shouldn't say all it is, but it's an ex-sheriff being arrested for methamphetamine possession on his way to allegedly have sex with an adult. And, the meth for sex thing is bad, but it's not as bad as if this was wider spread involving more people. And our investigation showed it was wider spread, involving more people, involving social clubs around Denver, involving hotels around Denver. We have a receipt here showing Sullivan's credit card and payment of rooms for kids. I say kids. I don't have any direct knowledge that they were underaged, but that has been a claim by some of them that they were underage at one time and still had a relationship with him. So we're continuing our investigation, and we'll keep you posted on it. If you have any information for us, it's live at troubleshooter.com. Let me go to Brent, who's patiently been waiting here. Ruth, what is your comment, Ruth?
My name is Ruth. I'm from Denver. Hi.
Hi, Ruth from Denver. What's going on?
Have you heard of betrayal by persons in a position of trust?
Yes, we have, of course.
Okay.
That is.
So
now,
even if these people were adults, if it's a sheriff.
Well, if this happened while he was sheriff.
Yes.
Okay.
It's betrayal by persons in a position of trust. I learned that from a lady.
No, I understand that. But he was not. I don't believe if he's a private citizen, he's in a position of trust at the time.
Oh, I see.
But
okay.
if he was a sheriff and he was bonding people out and all of that, absolutely, positively.
Yes. Now, remember, he was also head of the DPD. Or not the DPD, the Denver Cherry Creek Schools. Now,
that was security there.
Right, and that's a position of trust.
But here, let me make a few things clear that I want to make clear about our story. First, we have never said that we talked to underage people who had sex with Sullivan. Okay, never. We suspected he may have had sex with underage people based on the fact that some of these people we interviewed were barely over 18 and could have been minors at the time that they first met him.
They were alleging that.
That's what they were alleging, not us. We said very clearly that we have never talked to anyone that was directly a minor, right?
That's correct.
So we've never talked to anyone. We've never talked to anyone that was a minor. The next thing is that we never said that he is HIV positive. I think you did say that, but I think
there are people alleging he is HIV positive.
They are saying that they were infected.
We do
by
not
him.
know.
And we talked to people that don't know each other that all said the same thing, that they got HIV from him. We don't know if that's true or not. The only way to know that would be to test him. And I wanted to clear those things up. That's Beverly, welcome. You have a comment? Go ahead.
I was wondering if Pat Sullivan was engaged in these activities while sheriff, are they going to check where he got his meth? Because it's possible he took it out of the evidence locker at the sheriff's department.
That is possible. And I imagine they're going to look into all of that. I really do. I imagine, Beverly, they're going to look into all of that. We're not privy right now to what is happening with law enforcement and what they're looking at. We only know what we turned over to them. Now, we have a lot to talk about still. Another hour to go. We'll talk about winterizing, getting ready, saving money, conservation coming up in the next hour, as if we haven't talked about enough. On Talk Radio 630 KHOW.